we are as a people, inherently and historically, opposed to secret society, opposed to secret oaths, opposed to secret proceedings, secret proceedings. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
Welcome to Conspiracy Corner Podcast, everyone. This is Abe, your host. It is September 10th, 2024. Just chilling out, enjoying my day off. Me and Sammy went on a date today. We just went to the library, the local library. They were doing a Revolutionary War exhibit. So got to check out a bunch of old Revolutionary War flags, a uniform, read some history on it, then got some Chinese and came back home chilling. Took a bath, relaxing. I watched most of the debate, almost the entire thing. Not gonna lie, I was planning on doing an episode taking notes, but it started boring the hell out of me. And I'm like, yeah, I just threw my notes away on the debate. I'm like, I'm not doing a debate episode. I didn't really have much of an interest in seeing it anyways. I figured I'd watch it just if I caught it, but I wasn't planning on watching it or anything. But there's not much I can say about it, man. I mean, I just don't really have an interest in it. My dude RFK dropped out, so if he's not running, I could care less about this next presidential election. I see Trump as the lesser of two evils, but my guy dropped out, so I could care less, honestly. Today we're doing a Leave the World Behind episode, so let's jump in. So, Chapter 30. Still naked, Neanderthal, essential. Clay went to fix them drinks. They'd finish packing later. They'd finish packing in the morning. They'd skip packing. Go directly to Target for new toothbrushes and bathing suits, and books and lotions, and pajamas and earbuds and socks. Or they wouldn't. They didn't need things. Things would not keep them safe from power outages, or sudden loud noises loud enough to crack glass, or any other unexplained phenomena. They were extraneous. Things did not matter. Amanda flipped open the heavy cover of the hot tub. The steam was waiting for her. Vanished into the dark. There was light illuminating the trees, which made the view even more satisfying. You could feel you owned them, though no one could ever claim to own a tree she couldn't see. She pressed where she knew the buttons were. Kept at it until the machine whirred into life. The thing bubbled like the weird sister's cauldron. If only it had been. Amanda would have bargained for the health of her poor feverish son. Of both her children, of course. Even though she had nothing to offer a witch. Just the same desire as every human alive. She should, she realized, get up, pull on a robe, tiptoe into the dark room and gauge Archie's temperature with a touch of her hand. It was G.H. answering the dare of her nudity. He wore his swimsuit trim and conservative, the kind of thing white sons named for their great-grandfathers wore in Nantucket. There was not a trace of anything untoward in his smile, as though it were precisely what he expected. To find this woman he barely knew, nude and obviously postcoital, on his desk. I see we both had the same idea. It would have been disingenuous to feign shame. She was released from that. Didn't even blush. Turned out to be a nice night, I guess. He gestured toward the tub. After you, please, if you don't mind the company. Nothing felt strange to him any more. We had the same idea. Ruth didn't want to join me, but I'm glad not to be alone out here. As close as he could come to admitting fear. The water was very hot, but the bubbles the tub was frantic with were cold, popped against her skin. Staccato relief. GH sat across from her, a decorous enough distance, though what did that matter? She might have been his daughter. They were nothing to each other, naked strangers. There's a crack in the door. She gestured towards it. I noticed it just now. I think must be... He had done his own investigation. There's one in the door downstairs. They call that a hairline crack, right? A nice turn of phrase. The shape of the letter Y. If I push, really push, I bet I can break the thing. He would not push on the glass. He would not break it. He needed it, though glass provided only the illusion of safety. Do you think it was from... He let his face say it. Why were they still debating this? I have always thought of myself as a sophisticated man, someone who had seen the world as it was, but I have never seen anything like this. So now I wonder if this thing I have always thought about myself was a delusion. Their silence was not unfriendly. They had said everything there was to be said. It was like a love affair, ended amicably. They needed only to wait for the sun to rise and the whole thing would be over. Relief and regret. In the house, Ruth lay on the bed, thinking of her daughter, and Archie slept dreamless, and Rose slept dreamful, and Clay filled glasses with ice, thinking of nothing. I just want everything to be okay. GH looked up at the stars. It was dark enough there that you could truly see them. It never made him feel any which way. He liked being in the country, but not because it was good for his soul. Did the stars make him feel small? They did not. He already knew he was small. That's how he'd got rich. He just said her name, nothing more. I didn't believe you. I was wrong. Something is happening. Something bad is happening. She could not stand it. The quiet is so noisy. That was one of the first things I noticed when we started spending nights out here. I found it hard to sleep. At home, we can't hear anything. We are high up. Sometimes a siren, but even then, the wind kind of carries that away. The world from their apartment looked like a silent film. We still have power. She could see the steam a veil over the dark. I was telling you earlier that with information, anything is possible. I owe my fortune, humble as it is, to information. He paused. The tub burbled. I saw it, before the lights went out. I looked at the market and I knew that something was coming. So this, I don't know, this might probably be the scene where he kind of tells of basically some Illuminati stuff of him knowing and talking to Illuminati people high up in markets and stuff. How is that possible? This sounded not financial, but spiritual. Clay opened the door. Are you okay? We're just talking. GH waved at Clay. He walked toward the tub as though it were not odd to be seen naked like this, to find his wife naked with a stranger. Clay would pretend. You learn how to read the curve. You spend as long as I have doing it, and you understand. It tells you the future. It holds steady and promises harmony. It inches up or down, and you know that means something. You look more closely and try to understand just what it means. If you're good at it, you get rich. If you're not, You lose everything. And you're good at it? Amanda took the glass her husband was offering her. Clay slipped into the water, making too big a splash. What are you talking about? Information. GH said it like it was simple. He says he knew something was coming, Amanda explained. She believed him. She needed to believe something. You saw what? What happened anyway? The power went out. Amanda got some push notifications from the New York Times. We heard a loud noise. Hearing himself enumerate it, Clay realized it wasn't enough. Did you see the end of the world? Could numbers really predict that? The glass in her hand was cold and perfect. It's not the end of the world, GH said. It's a market event. What are you talking about? Clay thought. GH sounded like a madman with a placard marching around the financial district. You saw that, often on Wall Street. The actual street, which was closed off by bomb-proof bollards. I think I know so much, GH was apologetic. Maybe not everything can be known. The steam clouded his glasses. He could neither see nor be seen. Every day was a gamble. Maybe everything is fine, Clay said. They were getting carried away. They were saying things they shouldn't say. I hope for our sake that it is. GH didn't like to have nothing but hope. There was something he disliked in Obama. The nebulous, almost religious promise. He preferred a plan. I do have to say this book was in Obama's book club and he helped direct it, so I wonder what he thought about that little part right there of GH not liking Obama. There was below them a loud splash. Amanda was afraid immediately. She sat up in the center of the tub, turned to the yard behind them. What was that? GH reached out of the tub to silence the jets. The machine responded immediately, a low hum instead of that laundry churn. The silence that made it more dark somehow. There was a splash, a definite, deliberate splash in the pool, yards away, but it could not be seen. It was one of the children sleepwalking to their drowning. It was a watcher from the woods come to kill them. It was a zombie. It was an animal. It was a monster. It was a ghost. It was an alien. What was... George shushed her. He was still capable of fear. What is that? She was not whispering. She was panicking. Maybe it's a deer. She remembered the fence. What would a deer in distress sound like? What would a deer's tears sound like? A frog. Clay thought this was obvious. A squirrel. They can swim. GH pushed up out of the tub and walked toward the house, where there was a switch to light the pool from within. It was a nice touch when they had a party. The abstraction of light through water, dancing in the treetops, they both saw, there in the pool below them, a flamingo, a pink and absurd, elegantly splashing. It beat its wings impatient on the surface of the pool. That's a flamingo. She said it even though it was obvious. A pink bird was a flamingo. It was so specific. The comma of its beak, the forte mark of its illogical neck, that a toddler would know it. That's a flamingo? That's a flamingo. With his fingertips, GH rubbed the steam from his glasses. They did not know what was happening in the world, but they knew that the flamingo beat its wings more. They let their eyes adjust, and they could see another flamingo. No, 2. No, 3. No, 4. No, 5. No, 6. Strutting on the lawn with their backward gait, bobbing and sinuing. 2 of the birds took flight as birds do. Balletic, lift over the fence, touch down in the water. They dipped their heads below the surface. Did they imagine it held food? There was a disarming intelligence in their eyes. Their wings were wider than you'd think. At rest, they had theirs so close to the sack of their bodies, unfurling, though they were majestic. Their beauty was astonishing. Logic fell away. Why? Why didn't it matter? Is this real or anything else matter? Amanda could see that George Washington could see these birds too. But there was documented evidence that delusion could be shared. She got out of the tub, rubbery with the absorbed heat. She stood naked as the day she appeared on this planet. She watched 3 flamingos cavorting happily in the swimming pool, their compatriots on the grass beyond. Just tell me you see this. George nodded. He didn't know this woman at all, but he knew his mind and his eyes. I see it. Clay went cold deep inside of himself. Tomorrow they'd set sail in their car, and there was an omen. Their trip would displease the gods. They'd been given a sign. Whiskey sloshed into the tub as he stood. The birds started. 3 flamingos lifted out of the pool's surface with a masculine flaunting of wings. Any flamingo seeing this would have wanted to incubate their issue. These were flamingos, the best of flamingos, hale and powerful. They rose into the air, a simple trick, and above the trees the flamingos on the grass followed. 7 human-sized pink birds, twisty and strange, ascending into the Long Island night, beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. They were silent for a while, good old-fashioned awe, religious feeling. The stars above did not cow them, but these strange birds did. Amanda shivered. George blinked behind his glasses. Clay held on to the glass in his hand because it was cold and reminded him that he was alive. So let's get into the symbolism and meaning of flamingos. Welcome to an exciting exploration into the world of flamingos, those fabulous feathery pink icons that conjure images of tropical vacations, relaxation, and playful luxury. But did you know that there's more to flamingos than their inherent charm and their love for standing on one leg? Yes, indeed, flamingos carry powerful symbolism across various cultures and spiritual practices. They were not just your typical lawn decorations, but rather they signify profound meanings that can offer us deep insights about life. Diving into flamingo symbolism helps us unearth rich layers of interpretation that touch on themes like balance, community, and emotional healing. In nature, flamingos are social birds that live in large colonies, maintaining delicate equilibrium while wading in the shallow waters of their habitat. They serve as reminders of the interconnectedness of life, our collective strength as communities, and the importance of keeping an even keel amidst life's tumultuous waves. What do flamingos symbolize? Now that we have wet our feet in the symbolic pond, let's dive deeper. Flamingos are quite symbolic creatures, and their representations vary. Here is a curated list to highlight some of the most common associations. Number 1, balance. With their extraordinary ability to stand on one leg for long periods of times, flamingos are often seen as symbols for balance, reminding us of the need for stability and harmony in our lives. Number 2, community. Living in large colonies, flamingos exemplify the strength of the community. They signify teamwork, social connection, and the importance of collaboration for survival. Number 3, emotional healing. Their pink color is associated with the heart chakra in many spiritual practices, suggesting emotional healing and release of negative emotions. Number 4, self-expression. The flamingo's vibrant hue and confident demeanor signify a bold self-expression, encouraging us to embrace our uniqueness and not shy away from showing our true colors. Number 5, renewal. As flamingos feed on brine shrimp and blue-green algae that contribute to their pink color, they symbolize renewal and the concept of being reborn, though through what one consumes. Flamingos as a spirit, power, and totem animal. In various spiritual and indigenous traditions, animals are perceived as carriers of lessons or messages, whether as spirit, power, or totem animals. So, what about our friend the flamingo? As a spirit animal, the flamingo swoops into your life to remind you of the need for balance, perhaps nudging you to look at areas of your life that may be out of alignment. As a gentle prod towards seeking harmony within yourself and with the world around you. On the other hand, if the flamingo emerges as your power animal, it encourages you to stand tall and showcase your authentic self to the world, much like how flamingos are not afraid to flaunt their vibrant colors. They are the epitome of confidence and self-assurance, daring you to tap into your inner strength and illuminate your path with your unique light. As a totem animal, the flamingo emphasizes the importance of community and collective effort. Just as flamingos thrive in their large colonies, this totem urges you to connect with your community, cherish your relationships, and remember that together we can weather any storm. In essence, the flamingo carries lessons of balance, authenticity, community, emotional healing, and renewal. The flamingo symbolism offers a captivating glimpse into how nature reflects the complexities of our own human existence. So, the next time you see a flamingo, whether in the wild or as a lawn ornament, remember the profound wisdom it carries beneath those. Wrapping up the flamboyant flamingo symbolism. Our exploration into flamingo symbolism has led us on a fascinating journey, hasn't it? We've discovered that these bright, gregarious birds embody much more than the quintessential tropical vibe we often associate with them. The flamingo, with its elegant balance, heartfelt connections, and vibrant self-expression, offers us lessons that there are as deep and rich as its distinctive colors. If there's one thing we can learn from the flamingo, it's that life is a delicate dance of balance, be it our personal well-being, relationships, or the way we present ourselves to the world. It's all about striking the right equilibrium. As the flamingo stands poised on one leg, it embodies harmony amidst life's unpredictable tides. Moreover, flamingos also remind us of the strength found in community, urging us to lean on each other, to learn from each other, and to build each other up. Just as these creatures thrive in their vast colonies, we too find our most profound strength and resilience in unity. And of course, let's not forget the flamingo's call for authentic self-expression. In a world that often compels us to blend in, these vibrant birds inspire us to stand tall, to embrace our individuality, and to never shy away from showing our true colors. In closing, the flamingo offers us more than just a symbol. It provides us a metaphor, a way of perceiving life through a rosier, and perhaps more balanced lens. So the next time you encounter a flamingo, whether in its natural habitat or as a playful lawn decoration, take a moment to appreciate the lessons it offers and the profound flamingo symbolism it carries with its striking pink plumage. And remember, as the flamingo teaches us, there's no shame in standing out and showing the world your true colors. So I think that's hitting the nail on the head pretty well as far as what was going on in the book, what's going on in the book in general, like in that scene, um, what's just been going on. I don't know. I think that was a perfect symbol. I don't think that was an accident that Rahman Alam chose the flamingo for that scene. Like, yes, there is the literal of like, hey, there's a lot of weird stuff. It's the end of the world. So now the animals are migrating to weird spots. Yes, there's that. But it's also like, hey, look deeper into this symbol. Go look it up. Go investigate on what it means. All right, so we'll do one more chapter and then we'll wrap it up there. Chapter 31. G.H.'s familiar old fridge yielded nothing but surprise. He'd not have filled it with such things: cold cuts and folded paper, the curls of leftover grilled zucchini, hard white cheese and greasy cellophane, a Pyrex mixing bowl of strawberries someone had thoughtfully hulled. He felt insane with hunger, or maybe only insane. He found a box of crackers, an open bag of chips, a cardboard tube of cookies. He put everything on the counter. Someone else would have arranged this bounty, complimentary items together, but he didn't bother. Clay did not ask if he had wanted a drink. He pressed one into the man's black hands. George. He'd found his swim trunks, drying on the railing. He'd found Archie's hacked-at t-shirt, and it revealed his subdued, middle-aged muscles. We all saw that. Amanda had put on a robe. She had no idea whose it was and forgot to pull the thing close over her lap. George thanked him through a mouthful of gummy cheese. He coughed a little. I saw it. Were we all hallucinating? It was appealing to pretend that you were exempt from what was happening. They're from a zoo. The electrical grid failed and couldn't keep them in captivity. George hacked at the cheese with a steak knife. They must be tagged, like those invisible fences that keep dogs on your property. Zoos clip wings, though, don't they? Amanda had read this in the Trumpet of the Swan. She wasn't sure if it was true. Those birds could fly. Those birds were wild. Clay took up George's steak knife and sliced into the salami. There has to be a logical explanation. They weren't wearing bands or anything. Amanda closed her eyes to return to the scene. I looked for them. George thought it hardly needed saying. There are no wild flamingos in New York. We all just saw it. What the fuck is actually happening? The vulgarity didn't possess the power she wanted. She wanted to run into the yard screaming at the birds to come back, to show themselves and explain. Ruth had showered and changed into the shapeless, expensive things she wore at home, freshly laundered. She emerged from downstairs and didn't even feel undefended, as she would have if she encountered the doorman while dressed thus. She was at peace with these people. They knew one another now. Downstairs, she had tried to use her phone to be sure. Yes, she had flipped through the pictures in her album, out-of-focus shots, because toddlers never stopped darting, giggling, or squirming. She noticed that Amanda's robes was parted so that you could see her mons. George had turned on all the lights, prophylactic against fear. We're having a midnight snack. You missed something. Amanda was not being sardonic, but sincere. Sit down, darling. G.H. was filled with affection for Ruth. G.H. was reportorial. He stuck to the facts. He mentioned even Amanda's nakedness. 7 flamingos. If he'd been asked how to draw a flamingo, he'd have come up with a triangle for the bill, and he'd have been wrong. I thought flamingos were flightless, Ruth said. I assumed. Maybe I never gave it thought before. They were the same size as Rose. Amanda could see them, ascending like Christ was said to have. I knew they were pink, but I didn't know they were pink like that. It doesn't seem like a natural color. G.H. made his wife a drink. You're sure? Ruth didn't doubt them, though. There was nothing they might have mistaken for a flamingo. She'd abandoned her expectations. A flamingo is a flamingo. Amanda wanted to be clear. The question isn't if we are sure, but why. You've got rich people out here, Clay was inspired. There's someone's private collection, a miniature zoo, some Hamptons estate that's actually an ark. Those billionaires are survivalists. They all have compounds in New Zealand where they want to go when shit hits the fan. Is there something sweet? Ruth sipped the drink. She didn't really want it. Amanda pushed the cookies across the island to her. Maybe the noise we heard was thunder. Some kind of megastorm. I've heard of birds being blown off their migratory paths. There was that hurricane in the Atlantic, and the birds got lost. Clay tries to remember, and he had never known. Are they migratory birds? And if so, do they cross the ocean? Maybe that's possible. Don't they congregate in lakes? Don't they eat some kind of shrimp, hence their pink feathers? I think that's true, Ruth said. We're just a bunch of adults who don't know anything about birds, said George. He was used to being able to explain everything. Could the curve explain the birds? There was a relationship, but he'd need days to work it out. He'd need a pencil, a newspaper, some quiet. We don't know anything about noises loud enough to crack glass. We don't know anything about a blackout in New York City. We're four adults who don't know how to get a cell phone signal or make the television work or do much of anything at all. The room filled with chewing, ice running up against the glass. Funny how I was telling you about Swan Lake, Ruth smiled. Swans, flamingos, the same, but not. I need it to be tomorrow. Clay consulted the digital clock on the microwave's face. We should sleep. You want to go home? G.H. said. We're lucky to be already home. Unless Ruth had no interest in dispensing platitude of comfort. She could not see a bright side. There was a sign. You shouldn't go. We can't go with you. You said you'd show us the way, Amanda said. It's not safe out there, Ruth said. What if Rosa didn't come in on Thursday? What if something out there was coming for them? We have to take Archie to the doctor. Amanda felt it in her body like a bird's urge to migrate. What do you think is going to happen to us? Clay wasn't looking for reassurance, just an honest guess. We are leaving. You said you'd help us find the way. George had never believed in unknowns. Algebra showed that they were easy to figure out. Math didn't pertain anymore, or it was a math he could barely work. Nothing will happen to us if we just drive down the road, he told his wife. You think traffic will flow? That there's food, water? I don't trust people. I don't trust the system. Ruth was sure. Maybe Archie will get better if we stay put. Maybe tomorrow he'll wake up, fever gone, and want to eat everything in the house. Maybe he just needs antibiotics or something. Clay didn't want to go now. He was terrified. I feel safe here. Ruth knew that this family's safety was not truly her problem. All I want is to feel safe. You could stay, George said. We can't do that. Amanda was decisive. Could they not, though? Clay was not so sure. We could go downstairs. You could have your bedroom. They were quiet, like they knew it was coming. It came. The same noise? Sure, yes, probably, why not? Who knew? Once, twice, 3 times. The window over the sink cracked. The pendant light over the counter did too. The electricity probably should have turned off, but it didn't. No one would ever be able to answer precisely why. The noises overlapped, but were discrete. The sound, They didn't know this of American planes in the American sky speeding toward the American future. A plane most people didn't know existed. A plane designed to do unspeakable things, heading off to do them. Every action had an equal and opposite reaction, and there were more actions and reactions than could be counted on the party's 8 hands. What their government was up to, what the other governments were up to, just an abstract way of talking about the choices of a handful of men. Lemmings were not suicidal. They were driven to migrate and overconfident about their ability. The leader of the pack was not to blame. They all plunged into the sea, thinking it easy to traverse as a puddle, so human and instinct in a bunch of rodents. Millions of Americans huddled at home in the dark, but only thousands of them heard these noises, and comforted children and one another, and wondered just what they were. Some people got sick, because that was just their constitution. Others listened and realized how little they understood about the world. Ruth did not cry out. There was no sense in that. Tears welled, but she blinked them back. Hands on the edge of the countertop, she crouched down, as maybe decades ago she had been taught to, in case of a nuclear annihilation. She just hovered there in a half squat. The pull of her muscles not an unpleasant thing. Amanda screamed. Clay screamed. GH screamed. Rose screamed. The children threw themselves from the bed and found the adults, and it was their mother they ran to, always was in these situations, and they pressed their faces against the foreign robe that covered her nakedness, and she held them tight to her body, trying to cover their ears with her hands. But they had 4 ears which between them, and that she only had 2 hands, she was not enough. That noise again, it was the final one. It was one of the last planes. The insects outside fell silent, baffled. The bats that hadn't succumbed to white noise syndrome fell from the sky. The flamingos barely paid it mind. They had enough to worry about. And that's it. We'll wrap it up there for today's episode. I hope y'all enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you haven't yet, check out the previous Leave the World Behind episodes. And y'all have a good day.
We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, opposed to secret oaths, opposed to secret proceedings. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.